So let's go on, let's talk about once you've got that person engaged, how do you qualify them? What's the goal here? Here's what I think the goal is, two things. First, you want to find out what they're worth, right Joe? You want to go through that triage process, right? And then you got to find out what they need, what's important to them to help you get from them what they're worth to you. So, how do you do that? Well, who knows what a closed and open question is? Who knows what a closed question is? Yes, yes, no. A closed question is any question for which the answer is one word, usually yes or no. What color is the sky? Blue. Closed question. You have nowhere to go after that. What's an open question? Yeah, an open question is the question that allows for any possible answer that encourages somebody to analyze and consider and think and reflect back to you something, an information that's valuable to you. So I'm going to, sorry? What are you looking for? So I'm going to give you guys 8.5 open qualifying questions that you can use here on the show floor today. Here is the first group of 3. So these are questions that you can ask when you're first starting a conversation, when you first make contact with somebody. Question number 1, what brings you to the show? Just ask them why they're here. I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, I'm just cruising around, I want to know the industry, whatever it is. That will help tell you what they're worth to you. Number 2, what's caught your eye on the show floor? What they like in other parts of the room will tell you what they might like in your booth. Number 3, what can I help you find? Now this is much different than may I help you. May I help you is a closed question. Most of the time they will say, no, you may not. If you say, what can I help you find? It's an open question that encourages them to think, well, what could they help me find? And more often than not, you'll get an actual answer, right? Sometimes no, but most of the time, yes. Anybody got one to add to this group? Okay, we'll go on. All right, now these are 3 more questions that you can ask once the conversation has begun and you're inside the booth and you want to find out a little bit more about them. So here's the next one. What do you do for your company, right? What's your role? What are you trying to find out, Joe? If they're decision makers, that's right. This is one way of asking that question. What do you do for your company? How about this one? What's your biggest challenge? I love this because this is exactly the kind of question that shows the person you're talking to that you are interested in them, not in attendees in general, not in selling your product, but you want to know about them. What keeps them up at night? Where's their pain point? And let them tell you. Now, in telling you their challenge, they're going to feed you your sales pitch. And then when you know all that information, all you're going to do is find a way to work your product into the response. Number 6, what's your role in making that happen, right? It's the same way of asking that same question. Are you a decision maker? When they say, oh, our biggest challenge is we need A, B, or C, well, what's your role in making that happen? Oh, well, I'm just investigating it. I have to bring it back to my boss. Okay, now you know.
Well, what do we do for him?
Sorry?
What do we do for him?
That's right.
How do we help you get it by him?
That's right. Is he here? Could we fly him here? Can you get him here by the end of the day? That kind of thing, right? All right, how about the next one? This is a reflection kind of statement. Let me see if I've got this. So once they fed you some information, you know, who they are, what their position is, why they're here, you can feed that back to them. Let me see if I've got this. You've told me that your position is this, you're here at the show because of this, and your biggest challenge is really finding that, right? What are you showing them when you reflect back to them? You're listening. You're taking it all in. You're able to feed it back. You care about them. You're establishing trust. This is the way you do it. Now here is one for when you're at the display, when you're at the demo area, that's a lot more challenging. Once you've been talking about the product, you can say, hey, this product has this particular benefit, how would that help you? They're going to give you a lot of information in that answer. Either they'll say, well, you know, it would save us a lot of money and it would solve this problem, or they may say, you know, that doesn't really matter to us, and then you know that you have to change course. Now, I promised 8.5 questions here, and I saved the last question. This is level 1, level 2, level 3. This is just an L, okay, like that. Now, I worked at the Intel booth at the Consumer Electronics Show, and when I wasn't presenting, I spent some time trying to greet people at the booth. And our booth was placed in the room right next to the escalator. So a lot of people were coming down the escalator and then walking into that exhibit hall and walking through the booth to do it. So we had a lot of traffic, but not a lot of those people specifically wanted to go to Intel. They were just cutting through. So I got very used to asking people, what can I help you find? And more often than not, their answer was, I'm just looking, you know, waving me away. So what I would do in that case is say, well, before you go, could I point out a few things that might interest you? And most of the time they would say, yeah, okay, that seems harmless, 10 seconds, whatever. And I would say, over there, this is so cool, we have a thing that does that. Over there, we have a thing that does that. Over there, we have the thing that does that. I hope you check them out, enjoy your time at the show. And I would say about half the time I did that, they would stay in the booth. So you won't catch everyone, but you'll catch enough that some of those people will become prospects and sales just because you've taken 10 seconds out of your time to give them a little hint as to what you're offering.